Welcome to The Wire. Today on Facebook Live, we would be discussing the death of Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Jayalalithaa and the political fallout in the state as well as in India's national politics. With me is our founder editor, Mr. Siddharth Vadrajan. So, good morning. I would like to ask you what is the immediate fallout you foresee because of her death?
Because she was ill for quite some time, and I think the last 2 weeks have been were particularly grim for her. If you recall, even though she's been in hospital, she was in hospital for over 2 months. We were getting some kind of hospital bulletins that were, quite sparse in terms of the information they were giving, but were somehow upbeat. She's improving. We are hopeful, etc. Last 2 weeks, the information from the hospital dried up, and that suggested to everybody, and particularly to her party people, that the end is near. And I think 24 hours, when they met and decided that Jayalalitha's own handpicked nominee, O. Paneerselvam, who had been chosen by her twice when she had to go to jail as CM, and was also functioning as the interim CM during the time that she's been in hospital, they decided that it makes the most sense to carry on with him. So the immediate political fallout, people were at some stage thinking that the AIADMK may split, there may be infighting, there may be factional fighting. Don't forget that you have, in a way, the power behind the throne, Shashikala Natarajan, close advisor and confidant of Jayalalithaa, who is obviously the most powerful person, and I suspect controls the party's resources as well. So there was a sense that is she keen to play a more open role herself, or would she prefer to operate from behind the scenes? These are some of the questions that political analysts were asking when they were trying to figure out what the post-Jayalalithaa scenario would look like for the party and for Tamil Nadu. By electing Paneerselvam, who's a safe pair of hands, as the leader of the party and CM, the ADMK, MLAs and the party leadership in general has gone for a very safe option. Postponing the inevitable, some may say, because factions continue and ambitions continue. But since elections were fought barely a year ago, and a lot of money and resources were spent by individual MLAs, nobody's keen to rock the boat and create a situation where you have elections that are called again, and where the ADMK has to go into battle without their star campaigner, right? So the immediate fallout will be minimal, but it's the medium to long term in the state that I think poses the most interesting set of questions, quite apart from whatever may be the enduring or not so enduring legacy of Jayalalithaa herself as a leader, as somebody who's been Chief Minister of the state for 15 years.
Jayalalitha's was more or less of a dynastic rule. She was it was a sort of a one man show. Now, in her case, the decision making was very clear. Whatever she would decide would ultimately happen, and she took a lot of decisions as far as the social reforms went, be it her Amma kitchens, Amma pharmacies, or other things. She was very clear about what she wanted to do. Do you think the decision making process would remain as clear-headed in the future?
I think Jayalalitha's rule was, you could say, monarchical, but not dynastic, for the simple reason that she has no family in that way. People to inherit. One could argue that, say, DMK is in a more traditional sense dynastic, because until Mr. Karunanidhi fought with Vaiko, who until that point was emerging as in a way the natural successor to Karunanidhi as far as the DMK's mantle is concerned. In the 90s, Karunanidhi felt unsettled and jettisoned Vaiko, and then decided to promote his two sons, Adagiri and Stalin. So DMK is more traditionally dynastic, but of course you're right. Jayalalitha's was a courtly, monarchical, one-person rule, where she essentially called the shots. What she decided, held sway in the party, in government. It was the expression of untrammeled executive authority in many ways, which she was able to exercise, and she used this very skillfully to, in a way, spend public resources for the welfare of people, but in such a way that these were harnessed to her own individual cult of personality, right? So, as you say, the Amma canteens, these are features of her third tenure as chief minister, where she, in a way, avoids some of the controversies of her first two tenures, and particularly her first tenure, where she got embroiled in all kinds of corruption allegations because of various kinds of expenditure, and and amassing assets that were alleged to be well beyond her means of income. But in her third term, which began in 2011, there was a conscious turn to populism structured around her own individual personality. So, of course, Amma was larger than life even in her first two tenures. But this branding of Amma, the encapsulating governance within the personality and figure of the leader, in a way that you have Amma canteens, typified in that sense by Amma canteens, Amma medicines, Amma water, and from a social point of view, from a social service point of view, many economists have argued that the people of Tamil Nadu ultimately benefited. One may, if you're fiscally conservative, you criticize that this is a waste of resources. Should the state be doing this? But if you are a poor person in Tamil Nadu, and your basic problem of food security is taken care of, and the Amma canteens, far from being places of indifferent quality or poor quality, serve a reasonable meal for a throwaway price, and so this was very much part of her policy making method, but centered around her. So in a way, all these measures which solidified the hold of the AIDMK as an electoral force were so structured around her individually that now that she's gone, you wonder how the party and its successors will be able to carry forward this legacy. So yes, they can trade on the name and the accomplishments and the personality and the image. It was quite significant that Paneerselvam, after he took the oath of office, affixed her photograph. So it's very clear that they want to use Jayalalithaa as the mascot of the government and the ADMK going forward. But will that be enough politically to carry the masses? Will the iconic power of Jayalalithaa, without her physical presence, be as powerful a mobilizing tool and a vote-winning device? This remains to be seen. What helps ADMK in a way is that DMK, the rival party, is also kind of getting ready for a period of transition. The patriarch Karunanidhi, he's 90 plus, he's in hospital. He's of course had bouts of illness in the past and always pulled through. But at the age of 90, there is clearly a limit to the kind of role and influence that he's going to exert. And clearly the party has been prepared by Karunanidhi himself, the DMK, for the rule of Stalin, and the way Stalin led and fought the last election campaign. His desire to try to connect with the youth shows that the DMK is very conscious of the fact that they have to do things differently. But unlike the ADMK, their politics was never so centered around the cult of personality. Yes, Karunanidhi loomed larger than life, and many of the the way they would refer to our leader, and it smacked of hero worship. But the DMK has the ability to draw on wider reserves of political support than merely the cult of personality. So going forward, will the iconography of Jayalalithaa be enough for the ADMK? I don't know. I doubt it personally. And this will be in many ways the most challenging aspect of Tamil Nadu politics in the medium to long term.
Okay. And as you just said, DMK had laid out its succession plan, and probably M.K. Stalin has emerged as the strongest leader. Is it the same with AIDMK? Because here Shashikala, some are saying she might take more of a back seat and become the party president and let Paneerselvam rule as the chief minister. Do you think that happening, or do you think after a point of time there would be an internal struggle?
You see, that's a good question, because Shashikala, Natarajan, everybody knows was the closest advisor of Jayalalithaa. They had their falling out over, but as things stood at the time of her demise, Shashikala was the person behind the throne. Not entirely the most popular person among AIADMK cadre. In fact, if you talk to ADMK supporters, talk to people at large, they will say that they will pin all the problems that Jayalalithaa encountered, the corruption allegations, the allegations of misrule, of caprice, of the vendetta politics that she was quite notorious for. People who are sympathetic to her would pin all of those sins on Shashikala and say that she was the evil influence. So I think Shashikala would be wary of putting herself in the front line. It's smart politics on her part to have Paneerselvam, stay at the crease. It makes sense because elections were just held, as I said. You don't want to fight elections again. In 1988, a few weeks after MGR died, the AIADMK was confronted with a similar problem. They went for the obvious dynastic choice of having Janaki Ramachandran as the chief minister, but the party quickly realized that look, she's not a very effective leader. Jayalalithaa, would be far more powerful, and the party split. And one consequence of the party splitting is that president's rule was imposed, elections were held, and DMK came to power. So I don't think it's a different matter that the way president's rule was imposed in those days, the ADMK was able to, in a way, conspire with the centre to quickly, within a year or two of that election, have the DMK government dismissed and fresh elections called, which then Jayalalithaa won. But today, I don't think there's any appetite in the AIADMK, particularly in the absence of any charismatic leader, to play a high-stakes game. So they would much rather play the low-stakes game, run the ship of government. Of course, you will have arguments and fights over the division of spoils, but the battle between Shashikala, if there is to be one, and other leaders, or if Paneerselvam is going to grow. You see, until now, if you look at his photographic images, what we see is that famous one of the Shashtang Namaskar before Jayalalithaa, or the one that we ran in the wire today of him cowering in the corner when she's entering the room. Very humble, very loyal. But now that she's not there and the mantle of leadership has come into his lap, he may well assert himself, he may well grow in stature, he may well develop his own ambitions. So we don't know how politics plays out, but I think the party will go for the for the safe option. I want to make another point for our viewers and readers, that which is, it's important to understand that the problem of succession that the ADMK confronts is not unique to the ADMK or to Tamil Nadu, right? We have, broadly speaking, in India, three kinds of parties. The first type are the ideologically driven cadre-based parties, right? Like the BJP, the left parties. Some may say Aam Aadmi Party or even Nitish Kumar's Janata Dal United, which are not, which have some semblance of an ideology. They have some semblance of a broad-based membership and leadership. And we see within these parties, at least we have a long history of the left and BJP, that succession has never posed an existential problem, right? One leader goes, another leader gets elected, the party doesn't split, there's no, huge crisis. That's the first type of party. The second type of party are the pure dynastic parties, right? Congress Party, DMK, Samajwadi Party, which was not dynastic in its origins, nor was the Congress in that sense, but has become dynastic now. These parties, paradoxically, also don't have a succession problem because you have an heir apparent who is selected. Now, of course, that heir may not solve the party's problems because he or she may not be very efficient, right? So the dynastic party faces succession problems of a different kind. But the third type of party, which is the leader-centric party, Mamta's Chandamool, Mayawati's BSP, Jayalalitha's ADMK, the single-person ruler, right, where there's no rival within a 10-mile radius in terms of stature, where the leader himself or herself is a single person. There's no family, so you can't rely on the blood relationships or any mechanism that you put in place to have a smooth succession. And these parties are the ones that will face the greatest crisis when the patriarch or matriarch passes away, as we've seen.
The questions we've received from our viewers, they are also on more or less the same line. Like Navneet Sekhawat has asked, what's the fate of AIADMK after the cult of Jayalalithaa is no more?
Yeah.
So
the cult, she says. Huh?
Yeah.
No, I think that's, you see, the cult of personality in some ways can live on. You see this in many of the former socialist states where an iconic leader, passes away, and the successors who clearly don't match his or her stature cling on to the name, cling on to the iconography. But invariably, those parties either have some institutional structures to fall back on, or they exist in a political setup where there's no democracy, right? So it's very easy for, say, in Turkmenistan, after Turkmenbashi, Mr. Sapur Barat Niyazov died, it was very easy for his party, so-called, to simply, fall back on, the new leader, Mr. Berich Muhammadov, because there's no political contestation, right? So the new leader comes, he pays his respects and homage to Turkmenbashi, and everything is fine. In Tamil Nadu, you see, the ADMK, they want to do that, but it lives and exists in a highly competitive political culture, right? You have the DMK, you have new fronts that are going to relish the prospects of politics becoming more fluid, right? We saw the PMK. We saw in the last election, for example, the PMK fought all seats by itself. Patal Makalkachi of Dr. Ramdas. So you're going to see more of that kind of thing. So can the ADMK solely rely on the cult of Jayalalithaa, especially after she's gone? I wonder. I think they would need something more durable, and which is why the cult will take them so far, but not beyond.
That probably also partly answers our next question, which is from Mohtashim Siddiqui, who asks, will the demise of Jayalalithaa be an opportunity for DMK to rise again?
Yeah.
But as you mentioned, like, the elections were held only earlier this year, so there are clear 4 years still to go unless this split.
Exactly. The DMKs, you see, there was some speculation when rumors began to emerge that Jayalalithaa, will soon be passing away, or may already have passed away, and that will the DMK use this opportunity to try to split the DMK and come to power sooner, because 4 years is a long time to wait. And the conventional wisdom finally was that the DMK will perhaps not want to do that, because precipitating a crisis which leads to elections can also have uncertain outcomes. Might there be a sympathy wave that gets generated for the Two Leaves party, the ADMK, even though Jayalalithaa is not there? So I think the DMK, at the end of the day, decided that, as of now at least, that it will not be adventurist. The DMK itself is going through a process of transition. On paper, MK Stalin is the leader, anointed by his father Karunanidhi. But you have Arigiri, who is not happy, who controls, who has some influence among DMK and its supporters. Kanimuri, at least the daughter, who is a very astute person, highly sensitive person, is there, on stage, as it were, cordial relations, but obviously there are family politics which are going to come into play. But I would say Stalin, has a reasonably stable control over the party, and he had been a charismatic youth leader for many years. So the DMK's prospects look bright, provided the party doesn't try to artificially speed up the game. As I said, objective factors favor the DMK coming back to power 4 years from now. Apart from the pendulum nature of Tamil Nadu politics, which of course
was Jayalalithaa
Jayalalithaa subverted it this time, but you could say that it had to do with the kind of campaign that the DMK fought, and the DMK, in terms of the popular vote, in some ways did rather well. But the power in the state is there for the DMK's taking. But the uncertain factor is, will the national party start playing a bigger role, or will the smaller fronts start emerging? These are the kind of flies in the ointment.
So two questions are there. One is Kakasri Krishnan. He's asked if AIADMK would split.
Yeah, I don't think a split is imminent.
Okay.
I think if Shashikala Natarajan had imposed herself the way Janaki Ramchandran did in 1988, there was every likelihood that the party would split. But she has taken the wise decision and said, let's have continuity with OPS. So I would say that a split is not likely or not immediate, but the closer you get to the next sets of elections, right? So there's, of course, the next assembly election is 2021. The next parliamentary election is 2019. And there you have to now factor in the national national parties and national politics. But I think 2019 may be a watershed where there may be some possibility as you approach that date of the party splitting. But as of now, I would say the smart money would be on the AIADMK sticking together, at least through this moment of crisis.
So Prashant Baligar has asked if the Devar Gounder caste politics equation that would come into play, because both Sasikala and Paneer Selvam are
Devars,
and the western Tamil Nadu is represented by Pinarayi. So
I mean, the thing is that the politics of the ADMK, particularly in the last I would say 5 to 10 years, the politics of ADMK has been built on the so-called Tevar factor, and this has led to a lot of tension, Tevar Dalit tension, and some of the faults that you can find in Jayalalitha's style of governance and in her administration would be on the front of law and order when Dalits were targeted in different parts of the state. So I think that I don't expect that to change. In fact, that kind of politics may actually get accentuated because Jayalalitha's rule was a combination of 3 factors. There was her own individual cult of personality. There was her use of caste politics, and lastly, her social, her social services or public services. For example, people forget that in health, in education, Tamil Nadu has. Is an outperformer as far as the rest of India is concerned, right? It was fashionable for years to talk about the so-called Gujarat model and Mr. Modi's accomplishments, but Jayalalitha,
even in economic investment,
absolutely, in terms of investment, in terms of productivity, in terms of so many different factors. Of course, Jayalalitha had, like Mr. Modi did in Gujarat, a base on which she could build, right? Gujarat was traditionally always a well-administered state. Modi took it to a higher level. Tamil Nadu has always, beginning with MGR, right? Midday meal scheme, such a revolutionary idea, simple revolutionary idea, which 20 years later, the rest of India copies because they say this is how you can begin to ensure simple nutrition for children, right? So so this was also a third plank, as I said, apart from the cult of personality, apart from caste politics. Now, from these 3 pillars, you take away the cult of personality. What remains are basically the caste plays and the social services. So I would expect both of those pillars to get strengthened. And since a lot of the newer formations in Tamil Nadu also are playing, are kind of essentially caste formations, the new political parties, I think that those factors are likely to get accentuated and perhaps make caste, even though they would break the mold of current politics, they are likely to generate, or there's a likelihood of social tension, to use a mild phrase, arising in different parts of Tamil Nadu.
Okay. Jobin Joseph has asked if what do you think about the speculation of Ajit joining the party to lead it?
I think that these are all early days right now. One thing is clear, that in this, let's not forget that you don't have the iconic personality of Jayalalitha anymore. That doesn't mean that you don't have an individual who is pulling the strings within the party. That individual is Shashikala. Now, Shashikala perhaps recognizes that she does not have mass appeal or political appeal. She needs a mascot, she needs a face. If you go for a face that has the possibility of growing into its own, that can rebound badly on you. It's like the debate within Aam Aadmi Party when Mr. Sidhu left BJP, and there was speculation that will he join Aam Aadmi Party. Now, from Mr. Kejriwal's point of view, you can recruit Navjot Sidhu, great face recognition, iconic personality, great campaigner he would be. But at the end of the day, if he's Chief Minister of Punjab, in the national scheme of things, the Chief Minister of Punjab is a far more important person politically than the Chief Minister of Delhi. So how do you then maintain your control over this party? So I think these are all factors that weigh. So I would say again that the ADMK is unlikely to do anything adventurous in terms of drafting an external person, finding a savior. Although in some ways, at least if my analysis is correct, they need to do something radical in order to bring back that third pillar of their politics. Otherwise, the party looks unlikely to be able to cohere in the as we move towards the next electoral cycle. So there is this is an intriguing possibility.
Jayalalithaa was the one responsible for bringing down the Vajpayee government, but later on with Narendra Modi, she was rather more comfortable with him. She almost supported him. Not that he needed her numbers in the end, but still her 39 MPs in Lok Sabha make it the third largest party over there. So now in this scenario, two of our viewers have asked Dr. M.R.D. Kiran and Mr. Senthur Raman Subramaniam. They've asked questions about how do you think BJP ADMK relations would factor out, and will the central government have an unusual role or influence in this seemingly powerless new Tamil Nadu government?
Yeah, no, this is to my mind the greatest imponderable, which is the impact of Jayalalitha's demise on national politics, and in particular the attitude of the two national parties. Now, the paradox of Tamil Nadu politics and of ADMK in particular has been that Jayalalitha, you're right, played a crucial role in toppling Vajpayee. In those days, and soon after that, she found a way to ingratiate herself with the party at the center. DMK has also done that. It seems like one of the enduring features of Tamil Nadu politics over the last decade and a half, I would say after the 98-99 fiasco of Vajpayee, is that whoever rules Tamil Nadu feels comfortable aligned with the center, and in fact it had become so ritualistic that you could even predict which ministerial berths the southern party would get, either DMK or ADMK, surface transport, environment and forests. These were MOS finance. These were in a sense earmarked for these two parties, and there was a great deal of continuity. Now this pattern comes to an end in 2014 when Narendra Modi registers such a spectacular electoral victory that the earlier theory that he may need some support, and that a lot of analysis was done of how Jayalalitha had been sympathetic to Modi and vice versa, even though she came from a liberal tradition, really nothing to do, no Hindutva or anything in her upbringing, but she made certain statements that suggested she was willing to embrace the wider politics of the BJP. There was all of this also happening in the background, but then at the end of the day, he didn't need her. That, of course, Modi played his cards well. I think he kept Tamil Nadu in good humor. He needed her support for GST, which again is a complexity that finally was not able to overcome very smoothly. Of course, Rajya Sabha seats are important, but DMK still has something of a presence. So in the Rajya Sabha. So I think that the big challenge for BJP will be they want to grow in Tamil Nadu, right? They fought the last assembly election fairly aggressively, and Amit Shah was very confident that the party would register a presence, a somewhat modest presence in the assembly. That didn't happen. What should the BJP strategy be now? Is it cleverer to say, okay, fine, DMK is on its way out? ADMK is on its way out. So let us build the party and hope that the space that the ADMK vacates naturally comes to us, right? So there's a sense that a certain upper caste support, certain quote-unquote right-wing support, certain Hindutva-oriented support, even within the Dravidian framework, may logically come into the BJP's kitty, right? So there is a sense in which BJP cannot be blamed for being ambitious and thinking that it has a chance of building its own brand of politics in Tamil Nadu. On the other hand, would it be smarter to recognize that the ADMK is vulnerable, and that you could find some kind of a working relationship with them, maybe pitch some kind of, maybe do what you can to preserve the ADMK as a political entity, but think in terms of a formal alliance with the ADMK, so that you can get a leg up on the basis of a disintegrating but still relevant Dravidian party until such time that the BJP is able to establish itself on its own, the way it has done in Maharashtra, the way perhaps even in Punjab, At one point, BJP people felt that they could jettison Akali Dal. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But the BJP is thinking nationally and is thinking of an India where it will have a foothold in every state without allies. So, but can a crumbling ADMK, can a weakened ADMK give the BJP that crucial leg up? So I think that, if I was Amit Shah, if I was a BJP strategist, I would be carefully evaluating these two options, and I would think that adventurist politics, trying to scuttle, weaken, and debilitate ADMK will not be in BJP's favor. Rather, a more cooperative approach, finding, recognizing, appealing to the vulnerability that the ADMK faces, and offering a political hand of friendship, may be what the smart. Maybe the smart strategy. So I would say that's what the BJP would try to do. The Congress in a different era might have also tried to benefit, but the Congress itself split in Tamil Nadu. The way the central leadership has handled Tamil Nadu politics is so pathetic and abysmal that I don't see how they can be in a position to benefit in any way from any weakening of the ADMK that is on the horizon. So I would say that the DMK, the BJP, the smaller fronts, these are the ones that, if they can perfect their strategy, stand to gain, of course, at the expense of the AIDMK.
So thank you so much for all your time. With this, we come to the end of this edition of our Facebook Live. Hope you'll join us next time. Thank you.
Thank you.